Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. This is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are listening to The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. I'm going to join the conversation. Up your fingers.
Technical difficulties. Hi, everybody. How you doing out there in the YouTube chat? Gizzard, Patriot, good to see you guys. Remember, if you're out there in the chat, you don't say anything, I don't know you're there on the YouTube side. On the Gun Channel side, looks like we got Gizzard, so he's pulling double duty. Outstanding. Here on the panel, I'm going to go ahead and say hi to you guys. Night Strike, how you doing?
I'm surviving. I'm doing fine. Just, gearing down. Friday evening. You know how it is.
Yep, sure do. Roll call. What's going on with you today?
Not a whole lot. Sitting in snowy northwest Indiana, digging out and trying not to freeze to death.
John Z, how's everything going?
Budget, unselect John Z because apparently the screen is stuck on it.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, CycleCam just said it out there in the chat.
Yeah, is it any better now? Let me look at this. Yeah, now it's good. Let me see if I can unmute him. Well, whenever he goes live, we'll get to him. Trying to get him unmuted here.
Oh, hey.
There we go.
How's it going?
There we go. Now you're unmuted.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the invite. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Looks like we got a few more that showed up in the chat on the YouTube side. We got Grim90. How's it going? Gunpowder Beauty. Good to see you guys. Got a lot to talk about tonight. May have a couple of people joining us a little bit late, but that's okay. Better late than never. So we're going to go ahead and start. Remember last week we talked about the new New Jersey governor, Phil Murphy, is going to do everything he can to reverse Chris Christie's relaxation of the rules for getting a concealed carry permit. Well, that has prompted some pushback, and rightfully so. Looks like a lawsuit filed Monday by the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs seeks to throw out the Garden State's handgun permitting rules, which require gun owners to prove a justifiable need to obtain a license to carry. If you remember, Chris Christie had not so much reversed, but had relaxed those standards so that it was easier for the average everyday Joe to get a concealed carry permit, although in application it was still pretty doggone hard. Well, prompted by the Colby versus DC case, in which the court of the, I'm not sure exactly which one, but whichever circuit court of appeals governs that area of the District of Columbia, stated that their may issue scheme was unconstitutional and they had to pretty much go to a shall issue. Well, prompted by this, the New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, backed by the National Rifle Association, filed suit on Monday to try to challenge this. By the time, let's see, the previous standard, which is State Attorney General, again, I'm going to butcher his name here, Gerber Gruel, is reinstating, required New Jersey residents demonstrate that they have already been the victim of an attack or face specific threats in order to get a handgun carry permit. By the time you would qualify, you'd already be dead, said Scott Bach, the president of the Gun Association, adding that it's nearly impossible for the average citizen to qualify for a permit. Bach's group filed the suit on behalf of Thomas Rogers, a Monmouth County man who runs a large ATM business that causes him frequently to service ATM machines in high crime areas, according to the complaint. The NRA on Tuesday threw its support behind the suit, citing the Washington, D.C. decision, which again, they're talking about Colby versus D.C., which found similar rules enforced in the nation's capital violated the Second Amendment. A spokesman for Gruhl did not immediately respond to a message seeking comment. At a press conference in January, Murphy made clear his intent to strengthen New Jersey's gun laws, already regarded as among the toughest in the nation. Box said on Tuesday that he hoped the New Jersey case would prompt the U.S. Supreme Court to take up the issue. Yeah, good luck with that, right? So, you know, I wondered when enough would be enough in New Jersey, and apparently they're starting to reach that point. There's some pushback, and I'm glad to see it. What do you guys think? Let's see. Chat.
This just proves that you cannot give up. You have to fight, or they will take these rights away from you. I'm very impressed that the NRA stepped in, if that's what you said, because usually they don't do anything but make anti-gun laws and try and take away rights. But
and take credit for other groups. You forgot that.
And take credit for exactly.
They'll jump on board with a winner. That's pretty much it.
But when it comes to actually putting out any money or resources to further the cause, you know, they vanish like a ghost.
Yeah, they'll let organizations like the Second Amendment Foundation do the heavy lifting, and then when it looks like things are gonna go favorably, they'll go, yeah, us too.
Yeah, we did it. We're doing something when they didn't lift a finger.
Yep.
I would have to agree, but the sad part is New York is currently becoming New Jersey with the current laws that it's trying to get passed right now.
I don't know. I'd say New York and New Jersey are pretty much like mini California.
Yeah.
You know, we add no offense, John, but we add both of them together. You've got the East Coast California right there, along with Massachusetts.
Hey, you don't have to say no offense to me. I already know.
Uh-oh.
Looks like we got Jamil in the house. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm doing great. How are things going?
Oh, pretty good. We just to get you up to speed here, we're talking about remember last week we're talking about how the New Jersey governor wanted to tighten up Christie's rules on issuing concealed carry permits. Well, the New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, backed by the NRA, filed suit Monday to challenge this on the basis of the Colby versus DC decision, which stated that DC's policies on issuing permits were unconstitutional, violated the Second Amendment. So they decided to go ahead and file suit on the same grounds, using that as a precedent, just to catch up to it.
Well done. No, I've been, this week has been kind of crazy for me. So no, I wasn't aware, but I'm glad they did. Really glad they did.
I mean, I think it's wonderful that people are starting really to fight back against this kind of stuff in those
states,
behind enemy lines localities.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's just, but here's the thing: it's New York. New York's just like that. New Jersey, they've got it rough in New Jersey. If you ever talk to AWAG 1000, he's on my podcast a lot. He goes on and on about how awful New Jersey is. So,
is he a native?
He lives there.
My condolences to him.
Yeah. So,
does he have superpowers from the toxic waste?
Well, no, it hasn't gotten that bad yet. Remember, it's not 2077, and the Chinese haven't invaded Anchorage yet.
Okay,
that's a Fallout 4 video game reference.
You'd think, according to all the liberals, that they had invaded it already.
Here's what Gary says: it's too bad. The NRA really could do so many positive things for the 2A community if they had new leadership. Get rid of that board and let the membership decide who's in charge.
Not let Wayne LaPierre embezzle every dollar that they get.
Oh, no kidding.
I bet you now, the reason why they're not doing anything is because he's embezzling every single dollar that goes into the NRA.
Yeah.
Because if you look at your renewal, it goes to him and not the NRA.
What?
Mm-hmm. I looked at the return address to my for my renewal, and it goes to Wayne LaPierre. It does not go to the NRA. It may go to their headquarters, but the address, but it's addressed to Wayne LaPierre and not the NRA.
You're talking about the actual money sent to the NRA?
Mm-hmm.
That's messed up.
Renewal, because I looked at the renewal envelope, and instead of saying the National Rifle Association or the NRA, it says Wayne LaPierre. How corrupt is that?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how that goes because I became a life member in '92, and then started slowly becoming one or the other by, when I go to the NRA shows, to the conventions, I would update every year to the next level up. And so I never, now I'm at the top level, so they just send me requests for more money, but I never send them any more money. I think being a benefactor or whatever the hell is it that I am, I think that's enough. But yeah, I mean, I just got my voting thing, and it's kind of interesting how, remember, do you know who Marion Hammer is?
Yeah, past president, correct?
Past president, yeah. She sent in the other day some, posted on one of the social medias, like, oh, you got to start, voting for whatever and not for other people. And, I'm like, you're talking about somebody who's in the board who hasn't attended a single board meeting. So why should I listen to you?
Yeah,
I want to put people in that board that go to meetings. I mean, I understand that celebrities are like Dean Cain will get elected. Tom Selleck is in the board, and he's a great mouthpiece, or you say a figurehead, or whatever you want to call him, or spokesperson for the NRA. But if he is too busy to go to the meetings, he shouldn't be in the board of directors.
Well, exactly.
I'm gonna vote for Buzz Mills, who's the president and CEO of Gunsight. I know him personally. He works really hard for it. I'm gonna give another turn to Kim Rody, the Olympic shooter. And there's another couple of people. I might just hand you a list and have you any of the viewers, though, or you guys are voting members. That's a question.
I am not.
You're not? Okay. Well, if anybody is, I would like to find out who of the viewers are voting members. It's important that you don't have to vote for all 25 people. Actually, I heard that the less people you vote for, the more effective your vote actually is. And you vote for the people that you think are going to do a good job. So, I'm just, we need to clean up the place. I know it's kind of funny, like you say, Wayne LaPierre. Pete Brownell is the president of the NRA now, but I don't think the president does much. I think the guys up at the executive level are the ones who do everything. So
I am.
I don't know, man.
I'm disappointed with the NRA.
I think Gizzard Gary has a good point.
Go ahead.
Gizzard Gary says, I think it would be great if a few hundred or 1,000 people showed up at the NRA annual meeting and raised hell. I think he makes a very good point.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know if it would be any good.
Well, when people start getting the opinion that there's something stinky, that's bad for the organization. So, we as members should do something about it if we consider there's something bad going on.
Yeah. Want to welcome
that big
my
power.
buddy Two Bobs to the panel. Two Bobs, how you doing?
All right.
Hey, don't be so verbose there, buddy. It's
all good.
To catch you up, we're talking about last week. We talked about how the new New Jersey governor is not relaxing, but making it more restrictive and making it more difficult to get concealed carry permits in New Jersey. And New Jersey gun groups backed by the NRA have filed suit to challenge that based on a recent suit in D.C., the Colby v. D.C. ruling that said that D.C.'s enforcement of their draconian policies about getting a concealed carry permit were in violation of the Second Amendment. It's, just basically how great it is that people are pushing back against that. And then we got on to discussing how the NRA tends to jump onto the coattails of anything that they see as a winner, and while not necessarily doing the heavy lifting themselves. So that's where we're at.
Well, the time somebody, stood up to New Jersey, number one. I wish New Yorkers would do the same thing, because talk about draconian. The Sullivan Law is one of the most unconstitutional laws ever. But that's the law of the land in New York, and nobody has had the testicular fortitude to stand up to the state and to the city.
Yep. Well,
and the sad part is New York City dictates what happens in New York. That's the sad part.
Yes.
So, speaking of testicular fortitude and freedom spreading, it looks like the citizens of Massachusetts are standing up themselves. Recently Massachusetts passed on February 1st, criminalized the possession of bump fire stocks, and went a little further to say that you had to turn them in. The statute has up to 20 years in prison on conviction for violating it, but few people are complying.
For a piece of plastic.
For a piece of plastic. As of February 5th, only 3 people have surrendered their contraband bump stocks. That's awesome. It seems like the good folks of Massachusetts have had enough and have decided to say, up yours, buddy. We're not doing it. We will not comply. And I think that's great.
If only we could get those same people to, rise up against the corrupt.
Well, and here's the thing. If only we could get them to vote the way that they're acting. I've said it time and again, and I'll say it more often. Elections have consequences. If the people that you vote in are going to have repercussions as to what your freedoms are, what your rights are, both in the legislative aspect, the politicians who pass the laws, but also in people like your state Supreme Courts. If your state elects your Supreme Court judges, that's huge. You need to research those people before you cast your ballot, because as where was it in Illinois, with the recent court decision there banning overturning the ban on guns within 1,000 feet of parks, that it's a clear demonstration of how far-reaching in consequence the results of your voting is. I mean, look at, even if love him, hate him, even if Donald Trump does absolutely nothing else, we kept Hillary Clinton away from the Supreme Court, and even more important, really, the federal courts, from appointing all these judges. That, if nothing else, was the victory. And that's how these people in these behind enemy line states have to start looking at it, as far as once they realize, which maybe the people of Massachusetts are, that voting for these knuckleheads is going to have direct consequences on their freedoms. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, that's the problem is, sometimes we all, as, intelligent Americans, sometimes blame the politicians. Actually, I don't blame them that much. I blame the stupid people who voted them in to begin with.
Absolutely right.
Think about it. Because somebody voted for Nancy Pelosi, for Maxine Waters, for, Sheila Jackson Lee and Frederica, whatever the hell her name, somebody actually voted for these people.
Repeatedly.
Repeatedly.
Thousands.
So that means that, or I mean, but you have to add the dead people, the out of towners,
felons.
So it's kind of funny because usually, how come dead people always vote Democrat? It's amazing.
You're only half right. You're only half right. Yes, the people are to blame. Yes, but the issue is so is the politician. The reason being, is, and here's my reasoning. Okay, I say this all the time, but I'm gonna say it again. The politicians, whenever they get elected into like the Senate or the House, they have to recite an oath, the oath of office. Okay, and the thing is, the oath of office is to protect and uphold the Constitution. Now, you've seen a lot of these Democrats that are going after the Second Amendment, doing this and that, trying to doing restrictions. Fact is, they're knowingly aiding and abetting by breaking that oath. So, but the problem is nobody catches them on it. Nobody goes after them for it. And I think what we need to do is start going after some of these politicians for breaking their oath of office because they're not upholding the Constitution.
No, they're breaking it every time. And but that their cohorts in the media are not going to say a word. So what are you going to do? They don't say a word. They're just mum when it comes to them.
I still say it goes back to the brain dead, and as Jamil pointed out, sometimes actually dead voters at the ballot box who keep casting the ballots for them.
Oh yeah.
But with the collusion of the media, it's up to people like us to spread the word and open our mouths and stand up on our feet and say something, do something, bring our message. That's why Ghost and Clover keep talking about getting more people out there, getting more people behind the camera. Even if we're a bunch of small creators, that's still a bunch of voices out there being heard. And that's what we need to do. That's the only way that we can do it is by getting together and combining our voice and yelling from the rooftops as loudly and clearly as we can and raising hell about this. That's it. Like we're doing now.
Be good, accept law-abiding Americans upholding, and enjoying their Second Amendment rights are. That's the first thing we have to do. The bunch of people out there in YouTube are a bunch of blowhards, and they like to, they make us look like fools. And that is what I'm trying to do on my channel, is that attitude. And speak directly to the people and say, look, we have a responsibility as law-abiding American citizens to uphold the Second Amendment, and we're going to do it we can have fun at the same time that we are being responsible. And that's very important.
That he thinks it's a big stretch to blame the oppressed for their oppression. And I understand what you're trying to say, but I also have to disagree to a point, because in our society, we elect our oppressors. And
absolutely, that's true too.
The people who are being oppressed have chosen to be oppressed by the person who's oppressing them, but they don't realize it.
You're right. That's correct. Sometimes they don't realize it, but then again, guys, some of those oppressors that we elected freely and legally lied to us. For example, we in Arizona elected Jeff Flake and John McCain. McCain several times. Jeff Flake, finally we figured it out and he quit. And now I don't even know what to do, because something came out today saying that Martha McSally, who is one of the front runners to take Jeff's seat, is a establishment GOP stooge or not.
Oh, wow.
I need to do some research.
We need term limits.
That's too bad. Oh, God, yes. If they pass term limits today, like more than 80% of Congress would, because they would be past their term limits. So
horrible.
yeah, we need to work on that.
That would just be horrible, wouldn't it?
Because
These people have
yeah,
they get a strong stranglehold on their district, and they just never leave.
Here's the thing:
Yeah.
These corrupt politicians have subverted the system and literally brainwashed all of America into believing that our country is democracy. Our country is not a democracy; it's a republic.
Correct.
It's always been a republic.
Exactly.
But because corrupt politicians who only care about how much campaign funds they get and how much money they can get out of corporations or, you know, a rich fat cat billionaire and doesn't really give a damn about the law abiding, they've brainwashed America into believing that we're a democracy. We're not. We're a republic.
yeah. Well, try to explain that to a lot of people out there.
I know it's hard.
Well, I hope this shows that just because the NRA, this is my fear. I hope just because the NRA is behind one thing, that these people don't lay back. They keep the pressure on, regardless of who's backing them, to fight back, and they continue to do it, and not just sit back and say, "Oh, the NRA's here now, so we can just stop, watch, and wait." It's time for them to speak up and start getting it and through their heads that this is detrimental to the Second Amendment. This is detrimental to the Constitution, and don't stop here and just press the issue even further.
Right. Absolutely right. That now is the time to not only keep the pressure on, but increase it. And speaking of everyone, the little guy combining their voices to be heard, that moves us on to the next topic. I know you talked about this a little bit earlier this week, Night Strike. 85% of the public opposes ATF's background bump stock control. That is awesome.
That's from the GOA. That was great.
The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives received 36,000 comments on proposed backdoor bump stock gun control, and 85% of those who commented said they opposed it. On December 22nd, 2017, Breitbart News reported, by the way, this is a piece by A.W.R. Hawkins in Breitbart from February 7th.
Better than CNN.
That the ATF was taking comment on their intention to change the definition of machine gun so as to include a firearm that is not a machine gun as well. This would allow them to use the National Firearms Act of 1934 to regulate machine guns and non-machine guns in the same way, which would allow them to treat simple firearm accessories and actual firearm conversion devices as the same, which clearly they aren't. Currently, bump stocks are not regulated because Barack Obama's ATF evaluated them and noted correctly that they do not convert the action of a semi-automatic into that of an automatic. Even with a bump stock, a semi-auto rifle only fires one round per each pull of the trigger. The ATF seeks to circumvent this by changing the definition of words. Much like Clinton, it depends on what the definition is. Thereby allowing itself to regulate conversion devices and non-conversion devices alike. The ATF took public comment on this backdoor bump stock gun control through January 25th, 2018, and The Trace, a gun control journalism outlet. This is even coming from The Trace. They had to really have a bitter pill to swallow this to report that 85% of respondents opposed the proposed controls. Out of 32,000 comments, they found only 13% favored the regulatory gun control. They noted that Gun Owners of America was the predominant gun rights organization fighting against the backdoor gun control, while Gabby Gifford's gun control group was central to the unsuccessful effort to stir up support. That is outstanding. Everybody band together, whether or not they followed GOA's lead. They still banded together to tell the ATF, no, enough is enough is enough. And we need to do this all the time. Open to the floor. What do you guys think? Matt, how you doing? Glad to see you can make it.
Well, sorry I was so late. I got the kids today. And I also have a
man,
mouthful of popcorn.
First, man.
But Is what I'm understanding here that the ATF decided not to over-regulate bump fire stocks? Is that what's happening?
I don't know if they have made a final determination yet, but out of the comments that they received, 85%, it was a resounding no. Don't do it.
Wait. Now, we talked about it on Hit or Miss, but remind everybody what the anti-gun percentage was.
Like
It's 13, right?
13%?
I think it was 12%.
12 or 13%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think it was
supported
either
further
last
regulation.
night or Wednesday. I forget if it was next. No, it wasn't Next Generation because I didn't make it. But in After Hours last night, we talked about it. It was 13.
13%. So, and apparently that was, led by the NRA and their wonderful statement. It's sad. That's sad when the NRA was for the ATF engaging in further regulation.
Yeah, that shows you the NRA isn't really for rifles. They're just for whoever gives us money.
That whole thing is what has led to my disillusionment with them and why I'm very suspicious of anything to do with the NRA at this point.
That's why I say support the gun owners of America, support the Second Amendment Foundation,
Yep.
support any of the other pro-gun groups, support your local state firearms or rifle association, but do not support the NRA because they've got enough support as it is.
Support your favorite YouTube channels who are pro-gun.
Yes.
Maybe like a 50 caliber Karma guy or something like that. I hear he has Patreon now.
Or maybe like a Night Strike. I hear he's got Patreon too.
Yeah, but nobody cares about Night Strike.
This is the question that I have. Now, with all these comments that come in, have anybody on the panel or out there in the chat, has anybody received any feedback from the ATF? Because I haven't.
I have not either.
The only thing I've gotten was an email saying that my comment went public. That's the only thing I got.
Two things out in the chat. Philo points out correctly that the NRA gets most of its money from the industry, not its members, unfortunately, and that is horribly unfortunate. And that tells you exactly where their priorities lie, because as we all know, the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules, and they're going to go where their money comes from. And secondly, CloverTac, the Gun Channel's Blitz, 50 caliber Karma. So that's what I want to point out today. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, check it out. There, Matt, I gave you a plug.
You are just the best guy. And Yankee put out a video and it says we lost the NRA ATF battle, but I haven't seen it yet. Has anybody watched that?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard about it.
Okay, I'm going to take a hop off and go watch it and see what's up, and then I'm going to come back.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten anything other than your comment went public email.
That's funny because I guess they didn't publish my comment because I never received that email. So I don't know.
Well, they published mine, and mine was just a standard generic GOA. I just took what the GOA told me to say, just because the factor that, I don't think if I put the words down "shall not be infringed" because the Second Amendment says so, would be taken as well as what the GOA said.
I left my own comments. I generally detest leaving form letters because I think that it has less of an impact. On the Gun Channel side, Cycle Camp says they have 90 days. This is too early to tell. I'm not sure if he's talking about the ATF or NRA or something, as he also said previously he has a ballot in his hands. So if you can clarify that, Cycle Camp, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, if they try and reclassify and say they're all illegal, you know what? I'm burying mine out in the backyard in defiance.
Yeah.
Because I spent $100 for a piece of plastic, okay? Unless they're going to give me my $100 back, they can go fuck themselves. But it's not even about the money, though. It's the factor that they're not getting it, period.
Yeah.
Because if they say it's illegal, you have to turn it in, you know what? They're not going to compensate you, and they're stealing from you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but just because you make it illegal doesn't mean that you can steal it from the American people.
I absolutely agree 100%. I'm hoping that this whole process takes a little bit longer than, if they're going to decide negatively, I hope it takes long enough for me to continue saving the money to get a binary trigger, because I want to get one of those for my AR pistol.
I mean, I think they tried something similar in 1776. It didn't work out too well, did it?
Yeah, that didn't work very well.
Try to take away things from the people. What happened? Well, An empire lost an entire country.
And where did that start?
Funnily enough, I think that started in Massachusetts.
Exactly. So maybe they are returning to their roots.
Maybe they're becoming British. and at that point, okay, we have to ring the bells again. You know, the British are coming. Because apparently there's no Americans in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Well,
at least
I don't know. The people that are keeping their bump stocks and giving the Massachusetts government the finger, that's pretty American to me.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no Americans in the Massachusetts, government. There we go.
Yeah, I'll give you that. No Americans.
There hasn't been for years.
I think the citizenry freedom, it seems to be alive and well.
You know, it's funny that New England itself, that whole area, which was pro-freedom, pro-everything years and years ago, is now the complete opposite.
Yeah.
They're opposite of what this country stands for and what it's supposed to be. And it's just, if it gets any worse, then they're going to try and secede from the Union because they're not getting their way.
Rich White says the battles of Lexington and Concord were before 1776. I should know better than to expect Night Strike to know history, though.
Thanks,
and
guys.
they even give you zingers from the chat.
Actually, they actually never said the British are coming because everyone back fish. My son told him, and Paul Revere he got arrested before the ride started.
Huh.
So shoes on his horse. 5 other guys did the ride.
Matt, what'd you find out?
Well, that's just American
what
history.
I'm getting from Yankee is that the ATF has decided not to rule either way right now on any of that.
Good. So
and basically,
quo.
They're just weaseling out of it and just staying the same they were.
Good. Status quo. That's awesome.
Yeah, they what it means is they don't want angry Americans storming the ATF headquarters.
Well, my feeling is they didn't want anything to do with this to begin with. They would have preferred to stand back and go, nope, not touching this one. That's the feeling I get. Because they already have. You know, they ruled it on this years ago, and I think that they're not really eager to reverse that and make themselves look like political weather vanes.
You
more
mean
than
tools?
They already do.
A weather vane is a tool, yes.
No, they look more like generic tools than just a weather vane.
So there was something else in the chat I wanted to say. Fila says California won one today. No more one gun a month rule. I'd heard something about that.
Wait, what?
Had a chance to look into it. So I'm look for that to be a single shot episode later on this week or early next week once I get a chance to research that. I think it's great that from what I'm hearing that the one gun a month rule got overturned in California. So there's still, you know, as I said earlier, your votes and are important and have far-reaching consequences, particularly if it's voting someone onto the bench or voting in a politician who will choose someone to fill a vacancy on the bench. Because this, I think, is the only way that freedom-loving people are going to actually get their due, is to take it to the courts. Because apparently the politicians that people keep voting in aren't going to do that job for them, or really they're going to do that job in addition to what they actually were voted in for, which would probably be free stuff. That's the price you got to pay to be taken care of.
Okay, Philo, where did you hear about this no more one gun a month thing?
I originally heard about it from Guns and Gadgets did a video on it, but I haven't been able to find any news articles or anything on the topic.
Because I would really like to get back into a cowboy action shooting, but I can't bother to buy one revolver a month. That's silly.
Well, it's silly that anyone would want you to buy only one revolver a month. Particularly if you already had some. What the hell is making you wait or making you only buy one gonna do?
Yeah, I don't see the point of a waiting period at all past your first handgun.
Yeah. Well, I don't even see a waiting period for your first.
Because they've been statistically shown to reduce the amount of suicides, and I do believe in helping avoid that. That is the only gun restriction ever that I'm okay with, is maybe on your very first handgun,
well,
a 2-day waiting period. I
can tell you that if someone wants to commit suicide, they're going to do it without a handgun if they have to. I work in corrections environment, have for 17 years, and I can tell you right now, there's no guns in a jail, and people kill themselves in jails all the time.
Well, yeah, but a jail is a different circumstance than a kid in college who's feeling really bad about his final score.
My point is, if someone really wants to off themselves, they're going to find a way.
Right, but it'll help with the people who are. Well, who's echoing me? What's going on?
It's John.
Okay, it'll help with the people who are wishy-washy about it. It's a real quick and instant solution. But if they have to take time to cool down, then they might not follow through with it. There has been studies that show that, and I feel really anti. I feel like the wrong. What is it I'm looking for here? Like a turncoat in this sort of chat saying that, but I am for the waiting period on the first handgun.
Hey man, your opinion's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
I don't have a problem with it either myself.
That's what my my slogan for this chat is: using the first to defend the second. Man, you have to say First Amendment is just as important as the second, so you don't have to worry about being shut down because I happen to disagree with you. You're allowed. You're allowed to be wrong, man. You're allowed.
Well, thank you for that.
Philo says that Calguns did the lawsuit. Go to their website. Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and check that out when we're done. I'm sure in the next couple of days there will be a single shot on that one. So, moving on. Let's see. Kentucky lawmaker. Campus carry lets attackers know there will be resistance. State Representative Tim Moore, from Republican from Elizabethtown, says campus carry lets would-be attackers know that students at Kentucky's publicly funded universities and colleges will offer armed resistance. Moore is sponsoring House Bill 210 to prohibit concealed carry bans on public universities and college campuses. Good. It's about time. I really think that's something that should go anywhere. I don't think there should be any place that you should be forbidden to carry except possibly in a courtroom. If you have gone through the vetting process, not only to the background check to buy a firearm, not only and then the background checks to get your concealed carry permit and whatever other hoops your state deems that you have to jump through, then you should be able to carry anywhere. And I think it's great that freedom seems to be marching forward in more and more places. Yeah. So that's that. No, I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll spare you that. But I just think it's great, that Kentucky's starting to move in that direction. I wish Ohio would move further in that direction. You guys have any opinions on that?
I think that it's common sense. I mean, Indiana's trying to pass a law now where it'd be legal for teachers and janitors or anybody that's affiliated with the school to carry a handgun. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. Gun-free zones is a fallacy. It does not prevent anything.
There's no such thing as a gun-free zone.
I don't even know who made that up, and whoever did needs to get their head checked. It's not going to prevent anything.
I have yet to meet a sign that is effective in making a criminal go, oh, well, crap, I better not do that. Two Bobs, what do you think? I know you have.
I think it's a good thing personally. Should be able to defend yourself. If you're a law-abiding citizen, I don't see a problem.
You should be defenseless. You know, your right to defend yourself doesn't stop when you're pursuing an education, I don't think. Clovertech, there is a gun-free zone. It's called a prison. Yeah, that's about it, too. And that's only in theory, because there have been guns made in prison. These dudes are crazy inventive with what they can do with match heads and rocks and any sort of tubing. Crazy. Cycle Camp says, yeah, drug-free too. Yeah, absolutely right.
All these gun-free cities, they're horrid to live in. All kinds of gun crime, gun violence. It doesn't work.
Never has, never will. Anytime.
I mean, Chicago outlaw weapons, being a prime example.
Have the weapons. Law-abiding people don't. And to suggest anything else is delusional at best and outright lying at worst. Okay, so speaking of being able to defend yourself, got a couple good guy with a gun stories and then a self-defense shout out. First one is a piece by AWR Hawkins from February 4th from Springville, Utah. Says a concealed carry permit holder in Springville, Utah pulled his gun Friday and intervened to stop an attack against a police officer. Fox 13 reports that an incident occurred around 2 p.m. after an unidentified officer spotted Paul Douglas Anderson in a Tabitha's Way donation bin. Apparently that's like a clothing and goods, whatnot, donation place. The officer ordered Anderson to get out, and he allegedly exited the bin, but refused to take his hands out of his pockets. When Anderson finally removed his hands, he allegedly did so in order to punch the officer in the face. Thereafter, he allegedly punched the officer again and again. Concealed carry permit holder Derek Meyer happened to drive by while the officer was being attacked. He passed the officer, then U-turned, parked nearby, and drew his gun. He pointed it at Anderson and ordered him to stop attacking the officer. Anderson stopped punching and fled the scene. Police captured Anderson a short time later, hiding under a flatbed trailer. Meyer said, I carry a gun to protect me and those around me, but primarily I carry a gun to protect my family first and foremost. Outside of that, if I were to use my gun to protect anyone, it would be law enforcement or military personnel. Springville Corporal Corey Waters commented on Meyer's intervention, saying, had he not been in the right place at the right time, who knows what would have happened. But he definitely stopped the attack from continuing and becoming much worse. He might have even saved either one of their lives. It could have gone really bad even for the suspect. Well, I would add that I'm not going to lose any sleep over the suspect taking a dirt nap, I can tell you. Breitbart News reported a concealed carry permit holder stopped on January 12th, 2017. Why would they put that on there? So that's like a year ago. But at any rate, you know, a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy from doing harm to a police officer. But, you know, a good guy with a gun never stops anything, do they?
I don't care what Joe Biden says.
Well, Joe, you follow Joe Biden's advice, you're going to go to jail. You stick your shotgun out, your double barrel out the window and fire off a couple blasts. Yeah. See how that goes for you. That's a good way to end up in the hoosgow. In another piece of a good guy with a gun stopping bad guy, again by AWR Hawkins, On 6th February 2018, an armed resident in Apple Valley, California, caught 2 suspects allegedly burglarizing his neighbor's home and responded by shooting out their tires and holding them at gunpoint for police. The incident occurred Sunday around 6:30 a.m. Victor Valley News reports that 2 suspects, 31-year-old Justin Elder and 59-year-old David Turner, allegedly forced entry into the residence but were confronted by a neighbor who was armed with a handgun. The intended victim was soon joined by another neighbor who was armed with a long gun as well. Law enforcement explained the neighbor called 911 and then proceeded to shoot the tires on the suspect's vehicle in the ground, keeping the suspects detained until deputies arrived. A second neighbor heard the gunshots and came to the resident armed with a shotgun, but fired no rounds. Elder and Turner were both detained, and as the investigation began, authorities reportedly concluded that both men had allegedly been involved in an earlier robbery at the same residence. A search warrant executed at property owned by Turner turned up about 75% of the victim's stolen property. It also enabled authorities to discover 22.4 grams of suspected methamphetamine, 4 guns, and ammunition. Elder and Turner faced various charges relating to drug and firearms possession, as well as possession of stolen property. Now, I put this in here to illustrate another example of a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. However, I would be very careful before I started firing a weapon at tires or the ground or anything else. You know, if you're shooting at tires or you're shooting at the ground, your life is not in imminent danger, I don't believe. And you would be, if you're in the wrong jurisdiction with an overzealous prosecutor, you could be a victim of political prosecution yourself. You know, you could turn into the criminal very easily. So, you know, that's almost like Uncle Joe Biden's advice of firing your gun in the air out the window. You know, I would hesitate before I try to shoot someone's tires out and detain them. You know, we are as concealed carry permit holders and armed citizens, we have to try to fine line, particularly depending on where you're at.
Yeah, like when I was in every class I've ever taken, self-defense, firing, even, in the military, it's you fire until the threat is ended. But if they're going to flee or whatever, just let it go.
Yeah.
Protect yourself, and that's about it.
So I'm very torn on this one. That particularly, I don't know what the political climate is in that part of California, but I would really be hesitant to discharge my weapon anywhere unless there was imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. But that's just me. And finally, our self-defense shout out this week. Sex offender allegedly breaks into home and shot dead by mother of 12-year-old. A mother in Blakely, Georgia fought back a home invasion suspect with a spoon on Saturday, then managed to pull a gun and shoot him dead. If she had a gun, why the hell did she use a spoon? The alleged attacker...
Because she's a much bigger badass than you.
She must be.
She wanted him to know she was in charge and then pulled the gun.
The alleged attacker, 53-year-old Michael Lindsay, was a convicted sex offender. According to WTVY, Lindsay was found hiding in a closet inside the home. A struggle ensued, and the mother held Lindsay off with a spoon before shooting him. Police believe he stumbled out of the house and collapsed on the front lawn after being shot. He was transported to a hospital and pronounced dead. The mother's 12-year-old daughter was in the home at the time of the incident. Early County investigator Captain Will Caudill said deputies arrived at the scene and ensured the safety of the victims, who had locked themselves inside a room because they weren't sure if the intruder was still inside the home. Caudill also indicated that Lindsay molested a child in 1999 and is listed on the Georgia Sex Offender Registry. Every time I do these self-defense shout-outs, I say that I'm not celebrating the death of a criminal. I'm celebrating the preservation of the life of the potential victim and the fact that they had the means and the ability to defend themselves. But this time, I'll make an exception. I think, a convicted child molester who's hiding in someone's closet, waiting for a chance to strike and possibly molest a 12-year-old. Yeah, I think she just did society a great favor.
Yeah, that guy doesn't get a pass.
No. Not a bit. All right. So, going to go ahead and once again say thank you to everybody that dropped by on the chat, in the panel, and on both YouTube and gun channels in the chat. Very happy to see how many people stopped by and decided to watch this instead of Hank's chat with Mac and Eric and Yankee in it. So that's awesome. Going to go ahead and go through the panel here. Matt, any final thoughts you want to add? Anything you want to plug?
Obviously, I always want to plug 50 caliber Karma, and then tonight we will be doing Firearm Friday with Clover Tech, so that's exciting. That's my favorite show of the week. So check that out tonight.
Two Bobs, anything you want to add?
Yeah, not
Thanks
really.
for coming, by the way.
Yep.
Anything you want to add?
Not really. Everyone else pretty much said.
Hotbed of excitement there. Roll call.
Thanks for having me. Go check out Roll Call 219. I'm an Indiana boy, and I don't make great videos, so deal with it.
Dude, just keep plugging at it. You will get better. My first videos are, I look back on them now and I'm thinking, oh, geez, I'd do this different. I'd edit that different. It gets better, man. Jelsma out in the chat. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and plug your channel. He's got his show in 1 hour at 9 o'clock. You guys definitely check that out. He usually does a pretty good show. So stop in and check that one out. John, do you have anything you want to say, sir?
Yeah, I just want to apologize for my mic issues. I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Also, don't forget to check out Gun Channels. And who did you have for the Gun Channels Blitz budget?
50 Cal Karma.
Roger that. So go check him out, 50 Cal Karma. And thank you.
Before we go, I just want to remind everybody that still have those stickers available. They are a limited edition. 125 of them were made, and there will not be any more made with that logo. As you can see, I moved to a new round logo instead of the shield-shaped one. So get your
and it looks
limited
great,
edition
by the
collector's
way.
item stickers from me. Just send me an email, and I'll get them out to you. Which, by the way, Matt, yours is in the mail.
I'm very excited. Also, Jelsma, that is not a kind thing to call somebody. Jelsma called me a FUD.
Oh, them's fighting words, man. I think the next communications you guys should be through your seconds.
Yes, pistols at dawn.
Type crap. But yeah, don't forget to get your stickers. You can stop by my Spreadshirt store, see some other stuff, and I'll see you guys back again on sometime this week for a single shot, and if nothing else, 7 days from today for the right of the people, where we use the first to defend the second. Have a good one. And I should stop.